So with that said, there's a few different methods we're going to look at. And like I was saying, it might not be for everybody, but let's just, there are some pros to rapid prototyping, just getting something out the door quite quickly. Iterating in real time. So this might be, I make a change on the GA comps I just showed you. Having someone in a meeting make a suggestion, hey, let's add another navigation button. And then with HTML, super quickly, I can just go and add another button, link it up, and like, is this what you meant? And just get feedback right away so we don't have to have meetings. It reduces misinterpretation of functionality, right? And so that's what I was speaking to with representations of our stuff. You can't so easily click on a paper representation of a wireframe. A lot of times they'll put numbers, so you can make functional wireframes and you explain what happens, but I think actually being able to see it happen, the alerts and the movement and clicking it yourself makes it just so much more clear. And finally, it creates a rapid feedback loop. That's that principle of, I think, the main tenet of the minimal viable product is just getting something out there. If you've read Lean Startup by Eric Ries, he talks about build, measure, learn. And so this is like build, check, and just go right to measure and learn, and then just iteratively kind of get rapid feedback from your team and keep building. Basically, there's this awesome quote, I can't remember who said it, but if your first draft doesn't embarrass you, you've done something wrong. I think that pretty much sums it up, that we just kind of want to just start using something and not worrying so much about how it looks. Currently, a typical web development cycle looks something like planning, design, development. Planning is, the user experience or the information architecture is where they organize the content that best fits the need of the user. Design is, the visual designer comes and introduces aesthetics. And this is fine, this is the way things have been for a long time. One of the criticisms of this method is that, well, it's really easy for a project to become bloated and have too much time spent in the UX and the design before the client ever gets to touch the product, right? They never really get to see it in their natural environment, whether it's the browser or a native mobile device. So rapid prototyping helps us, plan, design, develop really quickly in a recursive, agile manner so that we're constantly testing, constantly deploying, and constantly giving feedback. And so that's kind of nice. A friend of GA over at the design firm RGA, they're super amazing. They have clients like Nike and all the most amazing things you've ever seen on the internet. I was talking to him about rapid prototyping, and he said that at RGA, they're beginning to use prototyping more and more to show clients concepts as opposed to flat documents, since it leaves a lot to the imagination and interpretation. So by showing prototypes, it breaks down a lot of the barriers and helps our clients focus on the actual interactions as they use it, which I thought, that made a lot of sense. That brings us to 4 methods for rapid prototyping. I put wireframes in there because I do still see it as one method. There's pros and cons to each of these, but what we're going to do now is look over each of these methods with examples and kind of like how-tos and comparisons. So, step number 1, wireframes. The first wireframing tool that is the most popular, I would say, in the field is OmniGraffle. And the other one that people often discuss is Balsamiq. So we have these two here. These are great. I have them open on my computer. You can see if you've never seen them before or you're not familiar with comparison and contrast. Balsamiq, a simple Balsamiq mockup, it's a program for $79. You can download it. It's for Mac, Windows, and PC. Or you can use it on the web version for $12 a month. And it's a low fidelity wireframe where you can drag in these assets from the top and just pretty quickly start, scoping out your idea here of what it might be. So it's pretty easy to just drag in logos like this, right? Pop that in right there. And start to make that mock-up like this. And this is kind of where we're at right now. You can make all the different pages. And it gives you this low fidelity appearance of the site here. Stretch this out. There you go. Which is cool. And you can make different pages and you can print these out. It's a great way to get started brainstorming, right? I don't know that I would show these to a client or maybe early in the stages of working with a client, but usually when you're going to maybe pitch a deck or you have a more high-end client, we want to use something a little less sketchy looking, and that's where OmniGraffle comes in And OmniGraffle is a high fidelity program. It's Mac only. Let me see if I could open up a little example here, what that might look like. So OmniGraffle, kind of the same little drawing of that. It's a little more high fidelity. You can see it's just a little crisper. And when I drag in my assets, well, first off, they have this nice stencil program where you can download from what they call Graphletopia. It's basically their resources of stencils. It's pretty cool. You can just kind of drag in their resources, see like that. They're all available, of course, for free once you buy the program. And you can drag these in pretty easy. Browsers, stencils, social features if you wanted GA, thumbs down, no, thumbs up, yay, right? Whatever you want to do here, you can just have some fun and start playing with these. It's pretty nice way to start prototyping your idea. And of course, you could make different layouts and different canvases so that we could have a header that repeats on every single page, or different assets that repeat. You can lock them down. It's really fully featured. I'd say that this has a higher learning curve than Balsamiq, but definitely a great tool, definitely something to get started with. This runs for about $199. It is Mac only. So,
does OmniGraffle allow you to construct the architecture of the site? So, for example, if you wanted to click through to something, does it allow you to do that, or do you just have to kind of assume?
Yeah, you can do that.
You can.
For
That's
sure.
great.
Yeah, it's good. That's good. Surprisingly, or not surprisingly, most people use paper to prototype, right? So I just showed you two tools that you may want to jump into. But if you're thinking, I just kind of want to get started, there was this survey. There's actually a book on prototyping called Prototyping: A Practitioner's Guide, and there was a survey done that Todd did with a bunch of developers and UX folk. And still to this day, most people, 77%, start with paper. So, man, all this aside, just jump right into the paper. It might be a way to start down your path with whatever you end up choosing. Again, just to recap, with the wireframes, we might have something on paper that's low fidelity. We may do something low fidelity with Balsamiq, or something a little more high fidelity. So this is where you could go with OmniGraffle. This is your sitemap layout. And in addition, maybe something like this, which is a full page layout. So it gives you some perspective there.
There's a famous picture out there of Jack Dorsey's mock-up for Twitter, which I believe he did either on a pad or a cocktail napkin.
Yeah.
So, there's really, it's not about the tools that you use, it's about your ideas and just solidly putting them down on and replicating exactly what it is that you're thinking about and communicating to people what your vision is.
I love that. I always show that in my programming for non-programmers class. And if you just go to Flickr and you just search for Jack Dorsey Twitter, you'll see that, he basically came up with that idea on paper. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah,
I love it. Cool.